guys, it's Jenny and I'm here with my February Bujo setup for you. This month I'm working in my Scribbles That Matter bullet journal, and it's my second month in it and I've been enjoying it so far since we started this new journal in 2019. So my theme for February was Jane Austen. February is a month that is just associated with romance. And even though, as a huge Janeite myself, I don't see her books to be solely just romance novels, that's obviously one of the main aspects in a lot of her works. So I decided that Jane Austen would be a perfect theme for February. And so I'm so proud of myself. I actually came up with this theme and created this entire month spread on my own. So I just sort of came up with everything, and some of it I just sort of had an idea and I went with it. And so I think it actually turned out pretty good. This is the first month that I've attempted the collage style of bullet journal. Usually I have something a little bit more, it's a little bit, more based on one theme, and there's some drawing and there's a pretty consistent format throughout. But this one is just kind of like whatever you want to do, just go for it. Like throw stuff wherever you want it, put in quotes and pictures and stickers and washi tape and little doodles, and it just all works together. So I think it's really fun. So I started off, I knew I wanted to put one of these, what are these called? Silhouettes in the middle, a framed silhouette of a woman from the period. This is a little bit later period, the illustration that I was copying than Jane Austen's time, but similar theme. So I thought that would work really nicely. I just really liked this entire illustration, and so that's what I went with. I threw in some Edwardian elements above here, ribbons and teacups and letters and shoes and bird cages, and of course books, because Jane, right? And I also threw in this Jane Austen quote from a letter that she wrote once, which says, "Which of all my important nothings shall I tell you first?" I love that. And I actually looked up Jane Austen's handwriting, and I actually copied her actual handwriting when I wrote some of the quotes in the book here, or in the journal. So this is one of them. This is actually my interpretation, or my best recreation of Jane Austen's own handwriting. So I think that's really cool. That just sort of a cool nod and thing to include in this month's journal. On the left here, so usually I do one quote and then I kind of illustrate around it, but this time I wanted to fit in a lot of Jane Austen quotes throughout this entire month. And so I decided that I would take several quotes and sort of mishmash them together with some washi tape and stickers. And I printed out some lace, and I thought that would work really well with the theme. So the quotes I have here was, "I was in the middle before I knew I had begun." The other quotes I have on the page are, "I wish as well as everybody else to be perfectly happy, but like everybody else, it must be in my own way." And then on the bottom, "Her own thoughts and reflections were habitually her best companions." I can't fit every single one of my favorite Jane Austen quotes in this month, but I tried to fit a lot of my favorite ones. So I tried to use practice my hand lettering and cursive with some of these, and I did actually use my Tombow Food and Soke pen for most of those, but then I also have a new fountain pen that I was trying out, and so I think a couple of these are done with the fountain pen as well, and I'll probably do a different video about that shortly. So that's the opening page, and then we get to my calendar. I did still want to have a traditional calendar because I have a busy month in February coming up, and so I had a lot of things I wanted to plan out in advance. I decided to make this sort of like an ornate vintage looking calendar. So I made out the squares. I think they're 5 by 5 or 6 by 6. And then I found some on Pinterest, some ways to do interesting vintage boxes. And so I added the outline and the garnish, ornish. What am I trying to say? I did the calendar, and then I added all of the ornate shapes around the box. And for the empty days in February, I actually filled them in with a list of all of Jane Austen's novels in the order that they were published. And yes, I know that Sanditon was unfinished at the time of her death, but I still wanted to include it because it fit the last extra day that I had, and I didn't want to leave one empty, so that's why I did that. And then at the top, we have, of course, the famous quote from Pride and Prejudice, "You have bewitched me, body and soul." And then here, the font for February is actually in Jane Austen's handwriting again. So yeah, that's Jane Austen's version of it, capitalized February, or at least my reinterpretation of it. And then I just filled this in with some washi tape and stickers and doodles. Here we get my habit and mood trackers. I really wasn't sure how to make the habit and mood trackers work in this sort of collage style because I've never done the collage style before. But so I still wanted to have traditional habit and mood trackers. So I kind of just, created a pretty normal layout for those. And then I filled in all of the extra space on the page with collage elements. So here on my habit tracker, I have the quote again from Pride and Prejudice, "Obstinate, headstrong girl." I have from Persuasion, "I am half agony, half hope." And then "It isn't what we say or think that defines us, but what we do." And I thought those all kind of had sort of nice, relevance to habits and the things that we do and how we act in every day. And so I like the way I'm doing this habit tracker. So I've just got, each one has its own little box of days and I'm just filling them in as I go. And then I just have, of course, some more doodles. Here's a quill up here, some roses, some teacups, and I thought that was cute. And then for my mood tracker, I decided to do ribbons for every day of the month, and the length of the ribbon coincides with my mood for the day. And so I have just some washi tape, some stickers, and then the quote from Pride and Prejudice, "Completely and perfectly and incandescently happy." Because I thought that worked really well for the mood that I'm going for this month. And that's it for the normal stuff. Then we just get into my dailies. And so my dailies this month are just really willy-nilly. I just decided to keep it more unstructured and fill up the page with ramblings on the day, and some lists and trackers and washi tape and stickers and kind of just whatever I felt like putting in there. So I do still have the days, my tasks for the day, and then a little bit of a reflection on the day, which is something I don't normally do, but I liked the idea of incorporating that. And then here's the one that I'm currently on. So I obviously haven't finished filling this one out yet, but yeah, I'm going to continue on for the rest of the month, just sort of playing around with the collage theme and adding things as I see fit and sort of just, making this kind of a really fun, whatever it ends up looking like is what it ends up looking like type of month. So again, here's the rest of my Jane Austen themed bullet journal for February. And I had so much fun creating this. I think it took me longer than almost any other setup I've ever done. But that's also because I was creating it from scratch and I really wasn't sure at first how I wanted to do it. But I'm super happy with how it turned out and I love it because I love Jane Austen so much. She's my absolute favorite author and her novels have just been so incredibly important to me in my life. So I'm so thrilled that I could pull this together. Okay, so that's it. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next month. Bye.